And the crowd came together again, so that they could not even eat. When his family heard it, they went out to restrain him. For people were saying, "He has gone out of his mind." And the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, "He has Beelzebul, and by the ruler of the demons he casts out demons." And he called them to him and spoke to them in parables. "How can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. And if Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand. But his end has come. But no one can enter a strong man's house and plunder his property without first tying up the strong man, and then indeed the house can be plundered. Truly I tell you, people will be forgiven for their sins and whatever blasphemies they utter, but whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit can never have forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin. For they have said, he has an unclean spirit." The true kindred of Jesus. Then his mother and his brothers came, and standing outside that, they sent to him and called him. A crowd was sitting around him, and they said to him, "Your mother and your brothers and sisters are outside asking for you." And he replied, "Who are my mother and my brothers?" And looking at those who sat around him, he said, "Here are my brother and my mother. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother." The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
My spiritual advisor, Reverend Janet and Beverly Walker, always exhort me to, when you give a homily, make sure it deals with the gospel, because I'm more likely to engage what Jim Innes called social psychobabble, and they kind of say you should be talking about the gospel. Well, in this case, that wasn't too difficult, because the gospel was about dividing and falling. And it struck me forcefully. On my dad's gravestone, it says, "United we stand, divided we fall." He was an immigrant to Canada, first tried farming, then worked in a factory. He became the leader of what's called the Galt United Soccer Club. And the reason it was called United, because half the players were Scottish and half were Dutch. And he also became the president of the Galt Cambridge area Holland Canada Club. And so on his gravestone is, "United we stand, divided we fall." That was a neat reminder, so today I can talk about the gospel. This gospel almost reflects what is happening in society. And a lot of gospels do that. When leaders of varying opinions disagree with each other, they feel the need to demean and devalue their rivals. Thus it was that the scribes came, and because Jesus was considered a rebel, or at least a rival, they felt a need to demean him somehow. And so they said, "He's got the devil in him because he's using the devil to cast out the devil." And Jesus said, "That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that nonsense. How can a person work against himself to be rid of himself?" That would be Jesus driving out Satan by using Satan's power. Power that resides in him, or in other words, working against himself. Nonsense, said Jesus. The lesson or concept for us is that a house that is divided, works against itself, cannot stand. This applies to nations, to families, to religions, and even to ourselves when we have inner conflict. And we can indeed be divided against ourselves. We've got some powerful illustrations in our world. In Islam, Sunni and Shiite are still suffering disagreement that leads to violence and death. Before we get smug about it, Christianity went through a similar phase about 500 years ago. That was also violent. Fortunately, we've learned to coexist and to tolerate our various ways of believing in Christ. And we coexist around the message that Jesus left us to love one another. Politicians say phrases like, "We will give you," and what they really mean is, "You will pay." And the various factions argue against each other about what we're paying for. Then they resort to attacks on the other person that demean and devalue, but are not really informative. Let's get personal, talk about the divisions within us. How many here have occasion to argue with themselves? I'm sure. Okay, we all kind of feel that way. But it's better that we argue with ourselves because we have a little bit of control over those situations. I find that I had a friend who was a psychiatrist who used to come to lecture to my detective classes, and his famous mantra was, "Don't should on yourself." Don't say, "I should do this, I should do that. I should eat right, I should work harder. I should work at seeing the other person's point of view. I should acknowledge that there's just a remote possibility I could be wrong. I should not put off chores that need doing." Self-righteousness is not endearing, even when practiced on oneself. Worse is when you practice it on other people. I struggle with dividing emotions in myself. Giving versus hoarding and security. Work versus leisure, laziness. Loving versus indifference. I think it was Mahatma Gandhi who said, "Indifference is worse than hate." And that's something to think about. Solving problems versus willful blindness. Let it be. It's my favorite Beatles song, but it doesn't solve problems. So let it be versus confrontation and action. There may be a formula for dealing with dividing influences in a way that directs us to a better way of living with our fellow human beings. So our challenge this week is to attend to a few simple rules that will help to unite us and not divide us. This week, I will listen more than I speak. This week, I will think about what I hear and see, rather than rush to get in my point of view. I will respond only with consideration and respect I will not hide my disagreement, but speak of it in a way that conveys respect for other views and that is not self-righteous or arrogant. I will believe that it's possible to disagree in love. I will respect that what divides us does not lessen our humanity. Together, we can change at least our neighborhood to a place of harmony and hope. And we can hope that it spreads as we demonstrate that we are not divided in living the message. And the primary rule that Christ brought to the world: love one another. On closing, let us offer thanks. I offer thanks for my companions at St. John's, who travel with me, united in the journey of life, whether I am divided against myself or against the rules of community. I count on my companions to hold up a mirror so I may follow the path that guides me through the challenges of living with compassion, with love, and with energy for the promise of life. Amen.